Hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome to another great episode of Let's Talk. I am your host, Regina Smithwick, and we got my partner in crime here, Carla Morgan. And we have a special guest, and we're going to go ahead and introduce him when we get back. Let's talk. We're back.
What a great intro. That was lovely.
Thank you.
Felt like I was in the video.
Thank you for joining us once again. As I said, this is Let's Talk. We have a great show. We got Sekou Writes. This is the man, the myth, the legend. Y'all don't know. Y'all don't know about him today. Y'all know, right? If y'all don't know, y'all gonna know about him when he starts speaking. He's the truth. So I'm so happy to have you. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, no problem, no problem. Well, before we get started, I gotta just say something. I can't let the day go by. If you haven't noticed, me and Carla have on royal blue and white, and there's a reason for that because today is our Founders Day, Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. So sweet. And there you go. Get it in, Sora. Get it in. 102 years of service, sisterhood, finding womanhood, and scholarship. And we are so proud to be a member of this great, beautiful organization. And so we are repping our org today. We do that sometimes, but this time, Founders Day, we got to rep. I had to recognize our organization. So I just want to get that in there. And I said, he was like, this is the week where I picked to get on the show.
You know what? I'm looking at our photos. I'm thinking, I'm on brand. I got the blue here. I got the blue there.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
So I'm good. Congratulations.
You're repping you're repping the Z5B.
Exactly. I got y'all.
Yeah, so but we're gonna go ahead and get started with the show today. And before we get started, I always do a prayer. So let me go ahead and get that in. Lord Heavenly Father, thank you so much for allowing us to meet today. And as I say, we are so happy that we had 102 years with this great organization to be able to serve your people and to serve the community. And on top of that, to be able to be on the show today is Let's Talk, to be able to inform, empower, uplift, and motivate our audience. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen.
Amen, amen, amen. So today's topic, as y'all know, is Rich 101. So I was going to just dive right in. So go ahead, Mr. Wright. Just go ahead and explain to us what we're talking about today.
So what had happened was, you know, that old chestnut. So at the beginning of the pandemic, like a lot of people, I lost some revenue streams. I lost my biggest revenue stream because of other unintended effects of the pandemic, right? So I was thinking about how to replace that revenue and how to pivot. And so I started reading books. Like, one of the things that I can do at home is read books about wealth, about abundance. And I found a book entitled The Science of Getting Rich. And I was like, that's the one. Just from the title alone, that's the one. Let's get scientific about it. Let's make it happen fast. Mm-hmm. And I grabbed that book. And from sentence 1, page 1, I was like, oh, this is not going to be what I thought it was going to be. But it was really, really instructive about changing mindset. It's not about how to go out and find wealth and abundance out there in the world. It's about how to create wealth and abundance by shifting your mindset internally. And it really moved me. And so by the time I finished the book, I mean, this was still early pandemic, I felt the need to share the book with others as much as I could. So I created a podcast. And so what I literally did is I read the book out loud to the podcast. So the podcast, Get Rich 101, is simply me reading the book, The Science of Getting Rich, and also providing some colorful commentary here and there about what I read and trying to bring it modern, because that book was written in 1910 by Wallace D. Wattles. So a lot of the references were old school, like they were talking about trains, like cars weren't even on the map yet. So I had to bring a couple of things current, but the information is so impactful, especially to have so much time pass, for the information to be really still impactful is a blessing. So that's the story of how I created the podcast, Get Rich 101.
And obviously it was that great for you to do that, because that's the reason why he's on here, because I tuned into it and I was amazed on how he commentated. Like, he sounds like a pro that you've been doing this for years, and you actually read the book to people. You do like the audibles, but you just kind of read the book and then you come behind it and give like your commentary, but you make it as biased as possible. It's not like, it's just neutral commentary. You stick to what he's saying, but you just kind of break it down a little bit more.
So I want to comment on that, because I did not want to make any comments at all. I just wanted to read the book. And someone we have in common, Reverend Melissa, listened to the early podcast and like, you got to go back and say something. And I was like, no, I don't. I'm going to let the book speak for itself. I ain't got to do nothing. She's like, no, you got to say something. And so I actually finished the podcast, just me reading the book, and then went back and did commentary. And I was surprised by how much I had to say. Because I always felt like, well, I'm going to say something for about 30 seconds, and I'm going to turn off the recording. And then 5 minutes later, I'm like, all right, maybe I should stop talking now, because I had so much to say about the book and how it impacted me. So yeah, it really did have an impact for sure.
And you said to me about the first sentence. The first sentence, you said that it was like, you deserve to be rich, and that caught you.
Yeah, from the beginning. Because again, back to my story, I'm expecting a book that's like, all right, go here, buy this, flip it, do this. I'm expecting practical advice when I picked up the book. And the very first sentence, the very first chapter is about, you deserve to be rich, not just comfortable, not just have enough to make do, but actually rich. And that concept really struck me. And I was like, okay, this is really about mindset. It's really about getting past your own blocks, really about getting past the myths that you've told yourself and other people have told you about, well, I just need enough to get by. Like, pushing past all of that to claim the idea of, I can and deserve to be rich. And when I am, I can be a blessing to others. I can be a bigger blessing to others if I fill my kingdom. So that was a strong concept to start off the book with.
And it's really strong, because you just hit something. So this is where you have to think past you. You got to think past you. So when you say, I need abundance, not just for me, but I can't help others without having more.
Yes.
And the more you do, we'll get into the gratitude part in a second, but when you go into it, it's not selfish. It's not about you, because you're going to be replenished because you're doing right, but it's about you helping others. And I always said that, I didn't say that before, but now I get it. And I was like, valuing yourself and charging for stuff. And, and you go, well, I don't want to do that. Yes, you do. You do want to charge for it. You need to value yourself. But then, how can you help others if you still where you at, ground zero, but you're doing all of this and you're not getting paid? How are you going to be able to give it to someone else?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. There's so many things in what you just said. And what occurs to me is something I've been working with recently. It's like, don't ask people financial advice if they're not where you want to go. Like, we often ask the people around us for financial advice, friends, family, loved ones. But if they're not financially where you're trying to go, then what can they tell you about getting there, right? And the people who are there often talk about, if you listen to them, if you find them on social media, they're talking about the way they use their abundance to serve others. Like, it's, almost across the board, people are talking about being in service, and they're able to be in service in a larger way to their friends, to their family, to their community, because they have been specific about creating abundance. And we got to get on that mindset. We got to let go of those things that we heard, like the money is the root of all evil, and all those things we heard in childhood. We got to divorce ourselves from those ideas and claim that we have the right to be rich. And when we accumulate riches, we can give abundantly. Like, we can change the world in a better way if we set ourselves up to do so.
So let's talk about these mindsets.
That's what I was about to ask.
All right, so Carla, go ahead. Go ahead, Carla.
Yeah. I just wanted to know, okay, how do we go about, you say mindset. What do we need to do to change that, to be abundant or to become abundant? Like, what's needed for mindset change?
Yeah, so I'm glad you asked that, because even when I was reading the book, I wasn't saying, oh, I'm shifting my mindset. I was saying at the time, this book is deep. It's talking about me and my mind, but I didn't even have the word yet. I'd heard the word mindset out there in the world. We've all heard it, but I didn't have a definition for it yet. Now, having completed the podcast, having gone back and done my commentary, now I have my own concept of what mindset means. And so for me, what mindset means is responding to the same stimulus cues in a different way. It's like you're not changing the world, you're changing how you react to the world. So that can apply to anything. Like I'll give a concrete example. Like right now, I'm doing an envelope challenge. Now,
oh, I heard about that.
You heard about this? Like
Yeah.
I remixed it for me, but my little bootleg version, is I wrote 1 through 6 on 6 different pieces of paper, and I put it in a cup. And every morning I shake up the cup and I pull out a number 1 through 6, and then I will transfer that amount from my checking to my savings. Really simple. Maximum $6, right? But I do it every day, and I've only been doing it for a couple weeks, and so that is evidence of a mindset shift. Right, because I'm changing the way that I'm interacting with the checking and savings account that I've had for years. Like they didn't change; they've been there. But my mindset about how to move things around and what I value has changed. So I'm more specific about accumulating money in my savings account so that I can invest it. Because I've discovered on this journey that investing is not optional; it's necessary. And so that's a mindset shift. That knowing that it's necessary, that it's not optional, means that I'm more focused about transferring that little bit of money, that tiny little bit of money every day. And one of the great things that I've noticed just in the past week is 2 things. One, I always know my bank balance. And I'm one of those people that like never really looks at his bank account. I'm like, I think I got about.
I look at it every day.
You're ahead of me. I look at it every day now, but I look at it now because of the envelope challenge. So there's that. And then I always see these little small amounts going out. Like you always see small amounts going out when you look at your bank balance, but it's always like for Starbucks, whatever. These little small amounts for food and beverage or entertainment. Now I look at my bank account, and there's all these small amounts going out, but going back in over here. Like I'm investing in myself constantly. And so again, that's like another manifestation of a mindset shift. Like I'm investing in myself. So to circle back to the beginning, for me, mindset means reacting to the same stimulus cues in a new way, like reframing your ideas about money and wealth and abundance in real time.
Now, when you said invest in yourself, so invest in yourself means a couple of things to me. When you invest in yourself, you invest in making yourself a better person, a better future. That's investing in yourself. Now, we will be quick to go spend money on things to make us look good and make us appear a certain way for other people. Because if we didn't care, like think about it, like if we really don't care about other people, we wouldn't buy half of the stuff that we buying. We buy most of it because of other people. So we're investing in what they think about us. That's what we're investing in with that, right? So when you invest in yourself, you do the Bill Gates, you do the Eli Musk, you do the Mark Zuckerbergs, because they wear the same T-shirt and the same pair of jeans every day. Because they're not worried about what you think about, because they know what their bank accounts look like. They don't need to oppress you by buying certain things. I don't know where we got this, but I guess it's probably in our DNA and history, and it's good to look good. I'm not saying that, but if you have a choice to buy, and I'm guilty, I'm a Coach bag person, buy a Coach bag, but you could take that same money and invest it in the stock market or invest it into a class or a master class or something to better yourself. We actually stop and think about spending that money on a master class. We will actually ponder and think about that, but we don't think nothing about getting that Coach bag. That's the mindset, right?
Yeah. So that is what we're talking about. We talk about mindset shift. So the Coach bag has always been there. The master class has always been there, right? But when you start to value the master class more than the Coach bag, you start to shift your mindset. And so it all starts with you and how you view the world. And I'll give you a good example from my life. I was walking through Times Square a couple months ago, and I saw this huge crowd of kids, massive amount of kids. I'm like, what are they doing? And so I walked around enough to realize that they were lined up to get into a sneaker store. And so I didn't ask any of them anything. I just got on my phone, and sure enough, I saw that there was a new sneaker dropping that day. And these kids were all lined up to get this new sneaker. And so I looked up the price. The price was like $250 for the pair of sneakers. And then I looked up the brand. I think it was Nike. I can't remember which brand it was, but I looked up the brand of the sneaker. And I looked up the stock price. The stock price for the sneaker brand was less than the pair of sneakers. Those kids could have bought multiple shares of the brand itself and had money left over. Like they could have bought multiple shares instead of buying the sneakers. So it's just, again, about mindset. Like who's at home or in their world talking about that possibility? Nobody. Because if somebody was talking about the possibility, then they lead into it. And I listened to Wall Street Trapper, who talks about this a lot. He was incarcerated, got out. And when he got out, I won't go into the whole story, but that's the way he started investing. He started investing in things that he owned. So in that situation, he would totally buy stock in the sneaker company before he bought the sneakers. Because now when he gets the sneakers, he's paying himself back in a way. Like the money's coming back through stock, through dividends, through assets. He's building himself up. And that's one of the early ways that people can get invested in the stock market by buying things that they already consume. And that is a huge mindset shift, because you go to the club, you popping bottles, you're now looking at the top shelf for the one that you own. Like, what's the one that I have stock in? Well, let me get that, because that's reinvesting into myself.
That's a great.
You know what? And that's a good, right. That's a good gateway. Like it's kind of tricking your mind at first. You know what I'm saying? Like it's kind of like, I'm going to trick you into doing this, because you're going to say, well, I'm going to buy these Nikes, but then I'm going to take some of this money and get a couple stocks in it, because now I'm wearing my sneaker.
Right. And then once you start saying mine and I own and we own, like that forces your mind to shift even more. I know, because that's what I did. I read this book. I created this podcast. I started listening to Wall Street Trapper. Like, this book was the gateway for me to start thinking about things differently. And when I heard Wall Street Trapper talk about that, I started doing the same thing. I started investing in things that are around me that I already consume. And it's just a restaurant as an owner. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, when you know that you own stock in this restaurant and you walk in, you just walk in different. No matter what you're wearing, tag or not, you feel like, listen, you need to clean up the corner over there. There's stuff on the ground. You need to get these lights polished. You know what I'm saying? Like, you want them to win so that you can win in your pocket. And it is definitely a mind shift.
It's like when they say that the stock market, like when a company goes public, that's what that means. That means that everybody can get a piece of it to own. That's
right. And we don't think about it like that.
Don't think of it like that, right?
People lined up to get the shoes, but no one's at home. They can buy the stock at home on the couch, right? Then get the shoes later, and then have that money come back to you. That's a game changer. It's a mindset shift.
And I think part of it too is instant gratification. So I believe that when we buy that Nike, that's instant feeling. We feel right then, I'm fly, I'm dope, I got the latest kicks. But when you invest money, you got to sit there and wait for something to happen.
Right.
So we don't understand the wait. We want to look fly right now. And then, you know, when you're younger, as we getting older now, if we go back 25 years, it happened like that. Literally, I was 25 years old like yesterday. So when you're younger, you don't see that. And that's where people like us come and play, people like you doing what you're doing with this podcast, so you could educate themselves early enough to actually make a difference in their lives. You know, because I mean, I started late to really get that going on in here. And you know what I'm saying? So I'm doing catch up more, you know, doing catch up. You know.
Yeah. And I just want to piggyback on that thought, because I started late too. But what I noticed, and I didn't say this to people, but what I noticed is that when I was investing in things that other people around me were consuming, now I feel like a G. We all standing together, and I own stock in Nikes, and you all are wearing Nikes, but I'm not. Like, that's a different kind of swag too, right? Like, you don't have the instant gratification of the physical thing, but you've got the instant gratification of being a boss, of being a mogul, of I run this. Like, all y'all are paying me. Like, that's a whole different mindset shift, right? So,
yes, it is.
So for that younger generation, invite them to try on that massage, try on the instant gratification of being a mogul, of being an owner, of being a participant in this global economy.
Yeah, it's true. Colin's like, Colin's about to throw something in a minute.
Yeah. That's just like resonating with me for sure.
Isn't it? Isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, I feel that mindset, we could go even deeper with the mindset. So now this is what I'm thinking. Got me. So with the mindset, if we feel good about ourselves, then we won't even need to buy things to try to impress others. Right?
Absolutely.
So if we feel good about ourselves, we don't need those items. You don't need to do all that. So I think it's so deep that we need to work on ourselves to change that mindset by realizing that we are enough and we're good. And if we don't have the latest and greatest, and if somebody jones you on it, then obviously they have issues because they're thinking that way too. So we got to really get deep with that mindset. Mindset is not just no surface thing. You may got to go to therapy, or you may need to go to a life coach. You may need to go read some books. Like, you're going to have to do work. You got to put some skin in that one. You're not going to just sit down and just say, oh, I listen to, you got to really invest in yourself. And that means time.
Yes.
And we spend so much time binge watching Netflix for the weekend. We'll sit there and watch 800 episodes in one shot, and you're halfway crazy trying to don't want to go to the bathroom, miss nothing. But you won't spend that same time investing in yourself and watching something educational.
Yes.
You wonder why we are where we are.
Exactly.
You're talking to me now. You're talking to me now.
I'm being real. That's how we are. I mean, I'm guilty.
Yeah. And so pre-pandemic, I used to make this joke all the time. I felt like binge watching was created specifically for me, specifically for Sekou. Was binge watch created because, especially when I was challenged by something out there in the world, like that was my comfort. My comfort was binge watching something, and I got to the point where movies weren't even long enough. Like I can't watch a movie. I got to watch a season of something. I got to just veg out, get some snacks, order in, and dive into a season of a show that I haven't heard of, and I'm just gonna stay in that. And hopefully when I come out on the other side, that I'll feel better, right? Mm-hmm. That's terrible life advice. And what I discovered during the pandemic was I started shifting. I heard this quote that really resonated with me. It said, you're always choosing either entertainment or education. That bothered me. I didn't like that. I didn't like that. I was like, ooh, so I'm always choosing entertainment? Wow. Even when I'm, not feeling good. So after this book, I started choosing education consciously. Like, okay, let me go watch a documentary. Let me go read another book. Let me read a summary of a book. Let me watch a summary of a book on YouTube. There's so many different ways you can get it in bite-sized bits. And I got to the point where I realized I was reaching for education automatically. Like, it was hard at first. But after a while, I stopped watching all the things. Like, I stopped binging altogether. Like, now I will watch trailers. I will literally watch a trailer for a movie, be like, oh, that's a good movie. Moving back on to back to the science of getting rich. And seriously, like, if you push your mind a little bit, it'll be like, oh, we're doing real stuff now. We're getting smart. Let's go. It will, but you've got to give it a push. And for real, that has been my testimony. Like, I'm telling you, Game of Thrones, Ozarks, all the things, I would dive deep in and I'd be staying there for days. And now I'm all about, let me find out more information. Let me learn something new every single day. And that has served me really well.
That is awesome.
Isn't that something? But we've been taught this for years. If you're a hip hop person like I am, back in the 80s, so many artists were telling us this years ago. KRS-One, Rakim, Nas, Common. They've been telling us this for years. They're the most reading people. Nas reads all the time. Mm-hmm. And he's so knowledgeable. And then he was quiet and made some major moves. And now he's a billionaire.
And nobody knew it.
Nobody knew it.
Right.
Nobody knew it.
Right.
Yeah, he like a ninja.
Yep.
he moves
quietly.
Warren Buffett reads 6 hours a day. Like, how does even somebody have a time to read 6 hours a day? Mm-hmm. He reads 6 hours a day. Imagine what he has learned and ingested. Yeah,
6 hours a day because they're knowledgeable. And I think that, just like you said, after you do the shift, you're craving that. you want to learn more and more and more, and you start seeing your life change. You start seeing things happen in your life, and that's what makes you want to continue to learn more and more and more.
Yeah.
You know, just like anything, like if you was eating bad and all of a sudden you start eating better and start feeling better, you're gonna want to continue to eat better because you feel better. So it's just like you just got to try it out and see, and just let it work for you.
Yeah, you get curious about things the more you go down the rabbit hole. And actually, that takes me back to something you said earlier about the way we dress. And you mentioned some names and how they don't dress as if they're rich, but they are rich. Right. So going down this rabbit hole of wealth and abundance, I found this thing called decision fatigue. And these people, these names that you mentioned, are all about lack of decision fatigue. And so what this means is in the course of any given day, you've got X number of good decisions. All of us, we got X number of good decisions. And if we waste too many decisions on like what to eat for breakfast, and by the time you get to the end of the day, you're just like, I'm exhausted. You start making bad decisions later on. So people like, what's the guy that created Apple? What's his name again?
You talking? Oh my, Carly, you should know.
I know, right? And I can't.
We can all see him, right?
Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs, right? Steve Jobs. Remember, he was always wearing the black turtlenecks and the slacks, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Steve Jobs is one of those people that discovered decision fatigue and basically put every item of his closet. Wait a minute, how do I want to say that? Everything in his closet was a black turtleneck.
Yep.
It's all the same. So he doesn't have to spend any time deciding what to wear. It's all the same. And they do the same thing in the White House. For every president that comes in, they have a meeting with them in the beginning. They say, this is what we're going to do. And this is what you wear. This is your uniform. So the president doesn't have to worry about what to wear. Again, reduction of decision fatigue. And so you don't know that until you get down the rabbit hole on mindset and wealth. And you realize, oh, these people are dressing the same on purpose so that they can save their decisions for their money, so that their money can stack, so they can make nice moves later. Like it's all like layers on layers on layers. Right?
I've never heard of that before.
Yeah, I hadn't either. And then when I discovered it, I started looking at all the people who are really wealthy, the Warren Buffetts of the world. You look at them and it's pretty much the same.
They wear the same outfit.
Very understated.
Lack of decision fatigue. They're saving their decisions.
Mark wear a t-shirt and jeans every day.
Come on now.
Bill Gates, same thing. Isn't he wearing a blue
polo
t-shirt, a blue polo shirt all the time?
Yeah.
Blacks or
closet stack. He's saving his decisions for the money.
Ain't that something?
Right.
Wow, that's a great connection.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I wouldn't have gotten there if I hadn't stopped binge watching. Like again, these ripple effects. Like, I had to let Ozark go. I had to let Game of Thrones go so that I can learn these little bits of information. Then I learned that, and I was like, what else do I not know? Because you don't know what you don't know until you go down to the rabbit holes. Yeah.
Until you know. You said something about gratitude and how important gratitude is, and to be grateful for what you have now.
Yes,
it's the big thing, right? Carly, you good with that gratitude?
Yeah, I always keep that as a center focus of my life every day. And it works. I'm not trying to do it on purpose. I'm just genuinely grateful for everything that I have, and know that I don't worry about anything. I just try and just do what I'm supposed to do to get to where I need to be. And I'm just grateful about it and grateful about what I have. And my needs are always met and then some. And Sekou, you can elaborate more on that. If I said
you're ahead of me, Carla. You're ahead of me. What happened with me was like I came into gratitude recently. And so what happened for me is that I was going through a bad period. I wasn't feeling so good about life and times and what was going on. And I just felt like, I don't know, I wanted to do something to shift that. And this was right before the pandemic. And one of my friends suggested that I volunteer. And what I said back was, well, I have a jewelry line, and I give 10% of my jewelry line to nonprofits. I've been doing that for years. And so that was my response. I was like, well, I've been giving back for years. And she was like, no. You need to volunteer in person. I was like, I don't know if I want to do that. But then I did here in Nashville at my mom's church. Shout out to First Baptist Church, Capitol Hill. I volunteered. I heard a call for volunteers, and I wasn't even sure what I was raising my hand for. I just knew that they were asking for volunteers, and I thought about her advice. I was like, let me see what this is about. And what it was is working with the unhoused community. So we had 10 homeless men that we fed and sheltered and talked with at the church for one night. And that one night really expanded my sense of gratitude so exponentially that I couldn't come back to where I was. I realized then that I had been in a space of taking things for granted. I realized then that I hadn't been grateful for all the small things around me. When they started talking about their life experiences, and specifically a tornado had just come through Nashville, and one of them was talking about being tossed around by a tornado. It's just like, what am I doing not being grateful for everything in my circle? Right. And then that led to creating gratitude groups. I've got 2 gratitude groups on WhatsApp. And so the task for us is simple. You have to leave a voice message every day saying what you're grateful for. That's it. And in the beginning, it was hard. Even after that experience I just explained, it was hard because you have quote unquote bad days.
Yes.
But even on those bad days and on those bad moments, you had to leave a message saying what you were grateful for until it became second nature. That no matter what's going on out here, you can still leave gratitude. You can still find gratitude. So it's building a muscle. It's building a muscle. And for me, that muscle was greatly atrophied. I had to build it up from scratch. And now it's much stronger. And circling all the way back, that muscle was reinforced by the book because there's a whole chapter in The Science of Getting Rich about gratitude, which again is not something you expect to see in a book entitled The Science of Getting Rich. That whole chapter is about gratitude and how, as you express gratitude, you move yourself closer to the source of all things, the source from which abundance flows. Like you got to get into the mindset of being grateful for what you have so that more can flow to you. And if you get caught up in lack and limitation and not being grateful for stuff, you block the flow of what it is you're trying to get. So again,
about the lack mentality and how that affects getting rich and you know that whole mindset change with the lack mentality and block the blessings that way.
It's the opposite mindset. And what's so tricky is most of us fall into lack and limitation without even realizing that we've been in lack and limitation. It's just the way we think about money. It's just the way we think about finance. It's just how we've been taught to interact with the financial world around us. There's this book called The Psychology of Money. And it says that, okay, money is taught as a math skill. You do this, you subtract 10%, you put this over there, you compound interest. But it is not. It is a psychological skill because what we've learned about money, we learned in the first 7 years of our life. The first 7 years of our life. That means what our parents were talking about, what our friends were talking about, what was going on in the world. Were we born and raised in a depression? What was happening out there? Like in those early years when we're sucking up everything around us, that's what determines how we react to money. So it doesn't matter how good the advices we get about money. We have to deal with the 7-year-old inside of us. It's like, no. I gotta keep all my coins right here.
Yeah.
Like the 7-year-old is unable to open its arms and accept abundance. So that sense of lack and limitation is deep within each of us. We have to fight hard to break it up, to expand it, and move towards gratitude.
So holding on tight is what I just wrote down. Holding money tight. So we are taught as a whole to hold on to your money and don't share, and and you just. But that's the good analogy. If you're going like this, how can you receive money?
Exactly.
Yeah.
How do you receive money doing this? You can't. Money can't get in there.
Exactly.
You have to learn how to let money go for money to flow.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Money flows. Abundance works like energy. Energy is abundance, right? So energy flows. So you have to be able to let go and flow. That's called trust and faith. Trust and faith has to play a big role in this. Because if you don't have trust and faith, the universe or your higher power will not release it if you don't let it go to flow to other people.
Yeah.
You know how they say sometimes you lose money and then somebody else finds money? That was the flow of energy. It was supposed to happen that way. You were supposed to lose that money and that person was supposed to find that money. You know, the way it goes, it's the energy flow thing. And I think you have to get re-educated, like you just said, in how money works and the energy of money, and then because money don't have value, it's a piece of paper. Somebody told these people how much money was. Think about it. Somebody had to tell somebody how much money was.
It's a man-made concept.
Right. Do you realize when you go to other countries, they have their own money values because they just make them up themselves. What you holding in your hand is a piece of paper. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to realize it does come back to you because it
Yeah.
flows. But you got to change your mindset on that. If you don't, it's not going to come back to you because people are like, well, I ain't getting nothing. Well, you're not going to get nothing if you're thinking that way.
Right.
So you have to let go.
So I want to ping that because this is back to my definition of mindset, responding to the same situations in a new way. So in your example, somebody lost some money, right? So there's a decision point. You can stay locked in the lack and limitation of, oh, I lost some money. I can't believe it. And if you do that, you stay locked in this. You stay locked in the limitation. But if you have that mindset that you just said, like, oh, I know the person that found it needed it. I know I just blessed somebody. Then you keep your hands open to abundance, the abundance that's coming. But it's a choice, though. You don't get it automatically. You got to choose to open your mind, open your hands, and think positively. That's the mindset shift. That's it right there. That's a great example of mindset.
That is because a lot of times we lose things and we always be like, oh my gosh, you know, and you dwell on, you know, or you break something or something like that. You hold on to that. And then you wonder why nothing never works out. Like everything always kind of repeats itself because you don't do that flow. Because that's a trust thing. A lot of people, it's hard for people to trust something they don't see.
Yeah.
If they don't see it, they're not going to trust it.
Yes. So I'm going to try this out. I haven't said this out loud yet. So I'm going to try this out, see how it goes. See how it goes. It's something I've been working on. So for me, recently, I've been thinking about gravity and electricity. We can't see them, but we rely on them. We just take them for granted, right? They are.
That's right.
And recently I've been thinking, so what's the likelihood that those are the only two invisible forces, or we just don't know what the others are? Like these other invisible forces that are at work in terms of abundance, in terms of mindset. We just got to believe in those other invisible forces, just like we believe in gravity, just like we believe in electricity, and do the work to apply those principles, and then our life changes. It's hard to believe in that stuff that's invisible, but you gotta, if you can just get there, if you can just believe in the things unseen, then the unseen will make itself manifest.
But it shouldn't be hard because we experience it every day. You flip the switch of your house, lights on every day. You don't question it.
Right. So that's so interesting.
How's it hard?
We seem to compartmentalize. Like we take that for granted, right? We take the gravity for granted, but then these other laws of abundance and polarity and like the other things about mindset, we always like, I don't know if that's really going to work. Like think about the reaction to The Secret.
Like and it's conditioning.
Polarized. Yes, and it's conditioning.
It's conditioning. You raised a certain way, and your family is raising you a certain way. You've seen how they live their lives. It's a conditioned thing.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it's hard to change that. You know, society as a whole too tells you a different way of how it's supposed to be. Not
because it benefits the society.
Yes,
it benefits the society. It don't benefit individuals.
Exactly.
It benefit the masses that they need to let things flow the way they want them to flow.
Right.
When you get awakened, you figure these things out. That's called reading. When we read, is amazing how fundamental it is.
Yes.
Because they always hide stuff in books because we don't want to open them up.
Yeah.
I was one of those. I was not a reader. I did not. But Audibles make it so easy for you to read now. You don't have to physically read a book. You could just pop it in and put it in your ears, and you can work and listen to stuff. And that's what I've been doing. It's like
and collecting yourself subconscious too. Sometimes you don't catch stuff off right away, but it's there. It gets locked away in there.
Yes.
You don't have to just listen intently to every word, in an Audible. Your subconscious picks it up. For sure.
So, like, I want to challenge my Let's Talk crew and my Let's Talk people today. So, what I do sometimes is I listen to affirmations at night. It's on YouTube, and they play for like 8 hours, like all night. And go to sleep, and don't even think about this. Go to sleep. It subconsciously plays because just like you sleep with your TV on sometimes, and you wake up and you hear, it wakes you up or whatever you hear. It's the same thing. It works on you when you sleep. Try it out and see how it makes your, if you have any changes in your life when you do that.
I'm gonna double down. I'm gonna double down on that. So I discovered also in this period of non-binge watching, I discovered this other thing called the reticular activation system. And it is basically the filter for our minds. We all have one. The example everyone always gives is when your friend buys a new car you never heard of, and all of a sudden you see it everywhere.
Yes.
That is the reticular activating system at work. So it filters everything until it realizes something is important, and then it lets it in. So now it has let that car in that you just discovered. There aren't more of the vehicles being made. That's the way it always feels, right? It feels like they must have made a bunch of vehicles. No, they've always been there. You just haven't been paying attention to them because your reticular activating system has filtered them out. That thing stays on 24/7, 365, even at night. And so having discovered that, I almost always play something at night, overnight, to give my mind something to do, something to work on. Like, let's play these books, let's play this Audible book, let's play these affirmations, let's play something, because the mind doesn't go to sleep. So you go to sleep and the mind's still up, like, what we gonna do? What we gonna think about, right? You gotta give it something to do. And so what I often do is I'll listen to a book that's too dense for me to read in real time. Like, the concepts are too lofty and too difficult. I will put that thing on at night and let my mind play with it overnight. And I will wake up. It's like waking up, like looking at the, like Neo looking at the walls of the Matrix. Like, it's making sense for that first couple minutes of waking up. Like,
oh my God.
It's gone. It's gone when I wake up fully. But for those first couple of minutes of waking up, I'm like, yo, I was getting it. I was getting it. Books about neuroscience, neuroplasticity, epigenetics, things that I would never study in real time. My mind is like, oh, we doing something. So there's something to giving your mind, giving your subconscious something to work with, even when you're not paying full attention.
That's deep.
Exactly.
That is definitely deep. So it's basically trusting the process. It's just trusting the process of this going on. Like, you got to open up your mind, open up your mindset, and let go some of the belief systems of money that you had before. Those belief systems, what Carla was saying, when just because your parents did it or do it doesn't mean it's right. And it's not means it's right, meaning it's wrong. It's just, that's what they know.
Yeah.
That's all they know.
You don't know what you don't know until you know.
Exactly.
And when you know better, you do better.
Yeah.
Exactly. So educating yourself. Yeah.
I want to ping one really easy thing, because I was raised to save money, put it in a saving account, and that's it, right? And now in this period, I've discovered, as I said earlier, investing is not optional. And that really blew my mind. But it's not optional because mathematically, it doesn't make sense. Like, you're making, maybe a percentage point on your savings account, but inflation is let's say 5%. So then you're losing 4%. Your money, the amount doesn't change in the bank, right? But the value changes. The value is being reduced and reduced and reduced slowly. It's like a slow leak. Like, unless you invest it at a rate higher than inflation, then you're losing money. Like, you put that $100 away, and then next year, same time, you'll be able to buy less with it because the value has diminished and inflation has risen. And you mentioned currency in other countries. This happened in Zimbabwe. They ended up with hyperinflation, where they had to keep printing higher denominations of bills because the cost of goods was going up so high and the value of the dollar was going so low. They've got $100,000, $1 million pieces of paper to say $1 million on them, like currency. Right. And even that wasn't enough to buy anything, and they had to just defund the whole currency system and start from scratch. Ooh. So yeah, these things are real. And you think about that and the fact that so much money was printed in this country to create the money for the stimulus checks, right? So it's just about scarcity. Like, when you increase the amount of something, like, you reduce the scarcity, right? And so if there's more of it, then it's worth less money. Hence the whole rise of cryptocurrency and all the things. It's all interrelated. But it's really just about not taking for granted what you learned about money and finance growing up and really investigating, because it all comes back to, you don't know what you know until you know. You don't know what you don't know until you know. And so now, like I said, back to the envelope challenge, I'm stashing away money to invest actively, because that's the only way to keep your money, to keep the value of your money is by investing it.
I'm gonna try that trick. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna
Yeah.
do the paper.
You got the challenge? Yeah, let's go. Let's go. I got a Facebook group. I'll send you the invite. We're doing the envelope challenge in the group. And I posted the dollar amount every day. So you don't even have to pull the number out of the hat. I pull it out and I post it in the Facebook group.
Oh,
yeah. You just know what the number is and you just transfer it. So I'll send you the invitation.
I would love
one day you will pull it. He keep pulling sixes every daggone day.
Yeah, I know. And that's part of it, right? Like, getting past this. Because the first couple of days I did pull sixes and I was like, woo, hold on now. But you got to work past that because I looked at all the little random expenses that I was spending money on. Potato chips here, coffee there. And it added up to so much more money than I was investing. And so it really does change the way you look at your bank account.
Yeah, I do the other one that you do 52 weeks. So I do it backwards though.
Yeah, you sent those out to us, Gina.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, you did. Last year you did.
I do it separate. I do it opposite though, because I don't want to at Christmas have to put 52. I just do it now. So I just count from 52 down to 1. Yeah. And you get about almost $1,400 at the end of the year when you do that. And that pays for my other organizations, just the dues and things I got to pay for, and then it's taken care of. And then usually it rotates, because I don't spend all of it, so it just keeps piling up every year.
Right.
So I always have that money, so I don't have to worry about trying to pull a bunch of money out at one time.
Yeah,
that's right.
That's what happens. We always think we don't have money. But if we set a little bit aside all the time, we realize that we have lots of money. We just waste it on frivolous things.
You have a lot of money, because when you add up those little things that you do buy, them things do add up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I read this recently that poor families spend $400 a month on lottery tickets, and these are the same families that can't come up with $400 in an emergency. Ooh. So they had it, but they spend it on lottery tickets. Right, so it's all about, again, mindset and where you put the money and what you value. Because the lottery tickets didn't get them anything, but if they had stacked that $400 every month, that would add up to something. And then if they invested it, that would add up to even more.
You want that instant gratification, though. That's what you want, that instant gratification of winning something. Because people do win, but the house always wins. The house always wins.
The odds are too steep.
Believe me, they're here to make money. They have to give out money, but that money, please, is nothing compared to what they're getting in. Nothing. Mm-hmm. They like, they won $500 million. Like, do you know how much money they got to get that?
To be able to give that away
for them.
Right. Go ahead, take that. Go ahead, take them crumbs.
And then they tax it anyway, so you don't even get all that anyway.
Exactly. And then most of the people that win end up in poverty again because they didn't shift their mindset.
The mindset.
Like, you can't keep the money if you don't shift the mindset.
That's right.
That's why so many of these NFL players and NBA players end up broke, because they didn't shift the mindset. Like, that's the most important thing. You gotta do that first if you want.
People always say, "I don't understand how you had $400 million and now you don't have anything," because they came in there with it. That's why they said in the NFL and NBA they want to do financial literacy classes to teach these people when they first come in how to handle their money. They want to start doing that and investing in that. And I think some reasons, I don't know, it seems like it doesn't benefit them somehow. Because it should have been something that should have been implemented a while ago. This is not rocket science, because they know how to run their money, obviously.
Right.
They know how the ones that's giving the money know how to keep their money. And you've been seeing a trade going on for over 4 or 5 decades, easy.
Yeah.
Why haven't y'all say, well, let me teach you what I do at least? You know what I'm saying? Let me teach you what I do. So these people won't, these kids can have money for their kids and their kids' kids. They don't even get past the first generation. They broke before they even have kids.
Right.
And then they like doing the Al Bundy thing, talk about Polk High School, how great they were and what they used to have.
Yeah. Remember that time? I spent all that money?
Remember we were balling at that club and I bought the club out that night and I
bought the club out. Yeah.
It's not worth it. It's not, but we do that because we go back to what we were saying earlier. We too busy trying to press everybody else about what we have. Mm-hmm. We got to show them. We got to show you what we have.
And we don't know about ownership, about buying stock, about investing, like, because investing in the stock market, at least for me, has seemed so intimidating. And I didn't really start until in the pandemic. And I'm like, well, this isn't so bad. Like,
Now, how do you do it? Do you go through like what kind of platforms do you use to get to the?
I'm glad you asked, Carl. I'm glad you asked. So again, I read this book. I created this podcast. I started shifting my mindset, and this is all recent. This is all pandemic, right?
Mhm.
And I was like, all right, so now I know that I need to invest. It's not optional. So I need to start doing something. My first stock buy was $1 on Cash App.
That's what I was going to say. That's what I was wondering if you were going to say that, because I heard that.
Cash App makes it easy, right? And then I already had a show. Oh, shout out to New Thought Media Network. They gave me a show. It's called the Be Your Own Hero Show. I'm on the air Monday through Friday, 9:45 a.m. Eastern Time. And in the beginning, it was simply about my effort to become my own hero through exercise and working with the unhoused, etc. Not to diminish that, but it shifted because on Tuesdays, I called it Tip Tuesday, and I would talk about money stuff just because I was reading this book, The Science of Getting Rich, and I would say a little something about money. Mm-hmm. And it was one Tuesday where I didn't finish what I wanted to say about money. And people were all in the chat like, pick it up again tomorrow. And so I talked about it on Wednesday. And then people were like, pick it up again tomorrow. So I talked about it on Thursday. And people were like, pick it up again on So I talked about money from Tuesday through Friday. And I didn't think I had that much to say about money or wealth or abundance. So the only day that week that I didn't talk about finance was Monday. And I was like, okay, the people have spoken. That's what this new season will be about. So Monday following, I started a new season. We're going to talk about wealth and abundance. And that is my new thing. And because of that, circling all the way back, Carla, because of that, I learned how to use Cash App and other investing tools faster because I had questions to answer. Like if I had kept doing it on my own with my little $1 here, $1 there, I'd be much further back than I am now. But people will be in the chat like, okay, now what? What do I do now? So then I had to go figure out what to do now. So I started with Cash App. I learned how to do that. I got Robinhood, got Ameritrade, Charles Schwab, got like 7 different brokerage accounts open right now. And what blew me away, one of many things, is that you do not need to have a balance to open a brokerage account. Like, you know how you open a new bank account, they're like, oh, do you want to fund it? Like you want to put some money in and you put little money in. A brokerage account, you can open it with $0. Like, what are we talking about? Like, that's it. I can just open it. And they're like, yeah, you can just open it. And it pays interest. What? Better interest what? Wall Street Trapper, the guy I mentioned before, he's got money in his brokerage account. Just cash sitting there is getting 3%. 3%? Like,
that's
just cash?
Crazy. Yeah.
That's crazy. Like all, as you said, Regina, all the information is hidden in books. And once you start studying, you start finding this stuff out. Like that's where they put their money. Because they're not putting in savings accounts, they're putting in their brokerage account, even if it's just cash, because it's accumulating more interest. It's ready to be deployed. So if something happens in the stock market, they can just grab something immediately because the money's already there. They don't have to wait 3 days to transfer the money from their checking into their savings over to their brokerage. It's already there. And they can just get something. Like, you know, so I found out how the game was played faster than usual because people ask me so many questions on the show.
And you started reading. That's just like I use Acorns. I use Acorns. I just started doing that because I've been reading and looking at YouTube and looking at the videos of people who, you know, they rating them and stuff. And Acorns is really easy and simple to do. They make it very easy for people who just starting to invest, and they actually set up the portfolio based on your aggressiveness. So you want to be aggressive, or you want to be conservative, or medium, whatever. And you don't have to pick out personal stocks. You know, I know Robinhood, you could pick out actually your stocks that you want to pick out. But in this one, it's kind of like set in the portfolio setting. But it's good for beginners. I would recommend it. You know, you could take out $10 a week, and then they'll just take it out your account. And they'll just invest your $10, and you'll see exactly what companies you invest when you click in there. And they do it every week. Whatever you get paid, the day you get paid, they'll take it out. And now you have an investment. Now you're actually buying stock in these large, small, foreign, international companies. I
Yeah.
would truly recommend Acorns. It's really, really easy to use. Very easy to use.
And you didn't mention the roundups part of Acorns. They have this roundups
Yes.
function where if you buy something for $1.99, it'll take the extra penny and invest it automatically. So whatever dollar amount you're short of, it'll round up and just take that money automatically. So you never see it. It's automatic. It happens in the background. You're always investing every day as you spend money out there in the world.
Right, with your debit card. So you could put in your own money once a week, and then it tells you separately, like, this is how much you've been putting in for the roundup, and this is how much you've been putting in when you deposit.
Which tool is that?
Acorns.
Oh, that's Acorn too?
Yeah,
okay.
Acorn. Yeah, that's the other part of Acorns he was telling about.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it rounds up your debit. Yeah, whatever you're using your debit card. So you investing without even trying to invest.
Yeah.
Right.
And you don't even think about it. Like, I look at that account like once a week, just look at it and see, but you have to be patient. These are one of these things you got to be patient. It's not going to happen overnight. I mean, there's things that happen in our world that, people become millionaires, if certain things happen, but then people lose money just as quickly. So you have to be patient. It's a gradual thing,
There's a learning curve for sure. And so that's what I was explaining. Like, my learning curve has been reduced because I have to answer questions for other people. And so I've been able to learn more faster just because I've been researching answers for them. And that's been very helpful to me because, as you were just saying, Virginia, in the other brokerage accounts, you have to choose stuff. And people were asking me what to choose. So then I had to go figure out what to choose. I had to figure out what's the difference between a growth stock and a dividend stock, an index fund and the ETF. Like, I had to research that. And now I have this body of knowledge that's helpful to me and to people around me. Because now it feels second nature to me. And often I'll be talking about it. Somebody will be like, well, wait a minute, what'd you say? Explain that again. I'm like, oh, wow, I know something now. I know something about it.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Carla, I know we've been talking. Can you get some of the comments? I'm sorry.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
No problem. Terry Gallup says, hey, family.
Hey, Terry.
Happy Founders Day. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Aurora. Okay. Oh, our Let's Talk Fruit member here. She says, if you continue to do what Andrea Collins White, if you continue to do what you've always done, you will continue to get what you've always gotten. Changing your mindset plus changing your actions equals changing your life.
Sounds like us. You've been saying that right here on the show.
Absolutely.
Right here.
Absolutely. Yep. Yay. Miss you, Andrea.
I know.
Anyway, Tanya Arnold says, it is a difference. I told my 16-year-old daughter, rather than buy Nikes, buy Nike stocks.
Yes. That's right, Sarah. That's right.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Yes.
Happy Founders Day to you.
Happy Founders Day. Andrea Collins White says, always maintain an attitude of gratitude.
Ashe.
Yes. Donna Pazant says, you have to be grateful.
That's right, Donna. Always.
That's the foundation of it all, I think. Donna Pazant says, I think letting go of money may be a hard concept to understand for people who didn't grow up with it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. That's the whole thing, right?
That's the whole point.
That's the whole point.
Yeah, that's the whole point. You gotta, if you haven't had it, then you're not losing out on anything to try something new. You didn't have it anyway. So you're not like losing money. You just gonna try something else. So you can't, I think that's a good place to be sometimes when you at the point that you don't have. What else do you have to lose but to try something new?
Yeah.
It's easier to try on that level than to be, a certain amount and then you got something to technically lose. Like, go ahead.
Yeah. That's one of my big learnings too. Well, piggybacking on what you said, like, if you wait for the windfall, if you wait for the ship to come in and say you're going to invest when the ship comes in, then you're an amateur investor with a lot of money. That's a recipe for disaster. You're going to blow it. Like, that's what we were just talking about with like the NFL and NBA. You got all this money, but no practice. So you practice with $1. You start with $1 and you learn how to do and where to do. So that when the windfall comes in, you already know what you're doing. You already know where to put things.
Right.
But it is, as we're saying now, it's like you gotta work at it. You gotta practice, because who did grow up with the idea of investing? Not many of us grew up with the idea of investing. So we've got to do that research and do that work and change the mindsets of the people around us. It's hard work, but
true.
work.
Very true.
Yes. Andrea Collins White says the spirit man never sleeps. I think she was talking about the subconscious.
Yes.
And yeah, absolutely. She said, even when you're sleeping, your spirit is receiving. Be watchful of what you allow to play while asleep.
Right
Ooh.
now. All right now. All right now.
That's my co-host.
Right.
That's my co-host. That's my
Right.
co-host.
That's right.
Yes.
That's real.
Yes.
Don't fall asleep with the TV on. Don't fall asleep.
They always say that. They always
Yeah.
say that. I did that for years. I always have the TV on. And I think when I was a kid, I did it because I was kind of scared of the dark a little bit. And I just kind of continued to do it all my life. And then I finally stopped doing that. I had no choice though. When I was married, my husband was like, I can't sleep with the TV on. I can't do this. So I end up training myself not to sleep with the TV on because of that. But then I end up doing that and I get a better sleep. Unless I do the affirmation, because the affirmations is like kind of like a dark and it's kind of smooth and soothing. So it's not like loud or anything. You cut it down low. But when you have a regular TV on, I can't do it like I used to because I keep waking up and my breaks my sleep.
Yeah.
Good point.
And in the same way, you wake up thinking.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. So, and in the same way, if it's the news is always the negative stories, and you wake up ingesting those negative stories, and that ends up being the first thing you think about in the morning, and it carries with you, like it affects your mood. There's been studies about this, how that mood carries throughout the day. You still have a stress response to the news you heard first thing in the morning.
Right, and I don't watch the news like I used to. I used to be a news junkie. I watch the news and CNN all day, and they just repeat it and repeat. I just watch enough to know what's going on in my world, but I don't really watch it all day over and over again like I used to. Because like you said, most of the news is negative anyway.
Yeah. And it's it's just anxiety informing. It's just not good at all. It's just a news cycle that it's not good. Carla Stain says the way to trust in those invisible things is to be grateful for them, even though you don't physically see them. Absolutely.
Yep. That's it, Carla.
Andrea Collins White says, I miss you too. Happy Founders Day, ladies. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. I hope you enjoyed yours on Thursday.
Yes. Happy belated.
Belated Founders Day for you.
Yes. Alicia Satchel says happy Founders Day.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate y'all acknowledging us. That's amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you. That's my God, though. She knows how I don't play with Zeta now. So that is good. So we learned so much today. It's been amazing. This has been a great show. We learned so much today. What else can you give us before we close out and kind of do a couple other things? What do you kind of give us a good takeaway?
Well, there was a quote that I took a screenshot of earlier today to read, and it really dovetails nicely with what we talked about. So your income, assets, or bank account does not make you a millionaire. Your mindset does. That's the whole thing. That's the whole thing. It doesn't matter how much you have, how much you don't have. What matters is your ability to shift your mindset, and that paves the way for abundance. So that said, if you need some help shifting your abundance, check out the podcast. It's called Get Rich 101. As of today, as of just now, there's an Instagram account. I was early for the show, and I was like, oh, wait. Oh, I'm early because I forgot about the time difference. So I just sat here literally and made an Instagram account while we were waiting. People have been asking me to do it for a long time. So there is now an Instagram account. It's Get Rich Podcast on Instagram. And the podcast itself is now streaming in 38 different countries across the world. So it's picking up momentum.
That's amazing.
People really are really vibing with material. And that's because the mindset shift is real. The mindset shift is real. So check out the Instagram, check out the podcast, and shift your mindset so you can shift your life.
Yes. That's so important. Like me being right here talking to y'all was my mind shift. This show is my mindset right here. So it does work. You have to really believe in yourself, and you got to really understand that it's so much out there waiting for you. Life could be so much better for you if you just release and stop trying to control everything, because you're not in control of nothing.
You're not.
It's very false.
That's the thing. Yeah, it took me a long time to realize that. The last few years, I've just been letting go. And it's just like, just going with the flow, doing what I can and releasing it. And yes, that's the best thing to do.
It is because we think we're controlling something. We're not controlling not
Not
one narrative,
controlling,
not,
doggone thing.
nothing.
And if we
Stressing your
can
own
just
self out.
control our reactions, if we can just control our reactions,
Oh.
that'll change everything. It ain't
Mhm.
easy. It ain't
Oh,
easy.
it's not
Not
easy.
easy. It's not
No.
easy.
Changes everything.
It's not easy, but every time you get it, you'll get a little better at it. You'll get a little better at it.
Practice.
Because you can't control anything outside of you, but you control how you react to it. And that's the key.
Absolutely.
Because then that's where the stress goes down, all that, because you don't really take things personal. And we're going to talk about that. It's going to another show going to be kind of talking about the 4 agreements. I love that book.
Yeah,
That's a good book.
That's good.
So we're going to break down the 4 agreements. You want to come back for that one?
Yeah. Let me know. Dude.
Yeah, that 4 agreement book is really deep. It's a little book, very little book, $5 on Amazon, but it really changes your mindset in your life about how you think about other people talking to you or reacting to you. And it does change. It does change you. I guarantee you that's going to be a great show. Y'all will love that. We're going to have that coming up soon. Carl, I think we have another comment, and then I'm going to do my spotlight for the evening.
Okay. Carla Stain says it takes more than just money to make you rich.
Amen.
Oh, it does. It does. It really, really does. I remember listening. I mean, when Compton, straight out of Compton, and at the end of the movie, you remember Suge Knight had went to Dre's house and he wanted to get all those masters when Dre decided he wanted to leave Death Row, and he thought it was gonna be a big confrontation, a big fight. He was ready. Dre like, man, here you go. He said, because guess what? You can't take my mind. I'm the one that made these songs. I can make more. See, you have a smaller mentality like he had to think that he could take something physically from you and destroy you. He forgot he left behind the mind that made it.
Right.
So that's why he was just like, you can have all of this. I don't need it. I'm gonna do it again. Even better now, because now I got more initiative to do better.
Yeah.
But that always reminds when I was like, dang, that's deep right there. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I didn't really see it at all, and I was wondering where you were going. That was good. That was good. Like, shout out to Compton. Where are we going with this? Where are we going? That was good. That was good. And actually, it reminds me of investing. Same thing. Like once you shift your mind to be able to make your money make money, then you're not relying on people to give you money all the time because your money is making money. Come on,
right.
All right, let me get this because we'll be here. Okay, hold on. So the business spotlight tonight is actually she's one of our Soras, Susie Clark, and she has a business that's helped you to purchase a home. The step-by-step to how to buy a home and buy a house and the pre-qualification. She walks you through all the processes to help you buy your first home. So her name is Susie Clark, and you could contact me for that information on Let's Talk. Of course, you could reach us on Let's Talk, our Facebook page, IG page. Our website is www.letstalk1943.com, and I'll definitely get you in contact with Susie Clark. All right. So next thing we want to talk about is our next show topic. Okay, before I do that, bring out your sponge. So I did talk about that last time. Bring out your sponge is actually a workshop that I will have started in March. And that's my book right there. Bring out your sponge. And if any of my Let's Talk people are interested, and I have the live book, it came in the mail. There you go. All right. So this is the part of the work. This is the part of the workshop is the book. And I'm actually going to start giving out a book to people that were our listeners. And it just really helps you wring out your sponge, meaning wringing out your insecurities, wringing out your belief systems, wringing out all those things that you have in you so you can absorb new mindsets. So you can't bring in nothing until you get rid of the old. So you got to wring that sponge out to bring out, to process and to absorb and to receive new. So this book's help you get it all out. It gets it all out. So if you're interested, if you go to the website, once again, like I said, Let's Talk website, www.letstalk1943.com. You could sign up for the class. The class will be in March, and we'll get back to you with more details if you're interested. It's going to be a beautiful workshop. We got some great speakers. It's going to be wonderful. And in the process of doing it, you do the book with it. It's going to change your life. Oh, wring out your sponge.
That's a great title.
I know I did that. Well, I didn't. I did it until Cookie told me I did it. I said it in one show. Cookie said, "Wait a minute, did you hear what you just said?" This hashtag, and I said, "Yeah, it is. You're right." And then I just started thinking about
That's
it.
right.
I wasn't thinking about it. So I gotta get Cookie the props on that one. Definitely gotta give her props on that one. So our next show is going to be on the 30th of this month. And the topic is called Leaving the Corporate World. Leaving the corporate world. And today's day, a lot of this is the great resignation time, as they claim they named it. And actually, our co-host right here, Carla, is one of those. She's one, and she did what everybody's been doing, is leaving and just starting their own business. So, and we're going to have actually another caller on here as well. And we're going to have Maggie, and she's actually from Canada. And she's going to talk to us about leaving your corporate world and how the process is. And she's going to give us some step-by-step for people who want to do it. So this is going to be great for the ones that have been on the fence, scared, don't have the faith. We're going to help you get that faith and do that little push and go ahead and do your own thing. So that's going to be a great show. It's going to be definitely a great show. Yeah, let's go around the horn. We'll let the guests go first. Mr. Writes, do you want to say anything before we leave out for today?
Yeah. You don't know what you don't know until you know.
Mic drop.
Yeah.
No.
Till you know. Good night. Thank you, Detroit.
Yeah.
All right, Carla, you have anything you want to say?
Just thank you. You're, plethora of knowledge. So thank you so much for coming, and I appreciate it. And I'm going to be definitely taking up some tips. I'm going to be looking into investing. I haven't done that, and that's something I should have been done, but I've been trying to, just making up excuses. But so, like I said, 2022 is a fearless year for me. No fear. I'm going for everything this year. So yeah, so this is right on time for me. This show right here, this episode. I'm so grateful that you're here. Thank you so much for giving us knowledge. And I want you to send me the links to your Facebook on that. Yeah. I need
envelope challenge.
Enforcements as far as, coming up with different tools to different streams of income.
Yes.
So, yes.
Let's do it.
That's what it's about. It's about getting multiple streams of income. You're supposed to make money sleeping. You're supposed to make money lying down. And there's so many other ways of doing it. There's so many things. If you check out YouTube and just put in certain things like that, you'll be able to see many ways to have multiple streams of income. So I think we got two more, Carla. Well, yes, you got 7?
I said 7 because the average millionaire has 7 different streams of income. And if you go down that rabbit hole, you will be shocked. Because I've heard that for years, it never went down the rabbit hole. But once I went down the rabbit hole, I was like, these aren't so hard to attain. I have some of these and didn't even think of them as streams of income. So go down the rabbit hole, get you some streams of income. Have 7, get 8, go for 9.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
That's how you're supposed to do it. That's exactly how you're supposed to do it. Yes. Carly, want to hit the last 2 comments and we'll go ahead and close out.
Okay. Okay. Alicia says, "Amen. I will be there."
All right.
For your podcast. I mean your class. So absolutely.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that. Definitely do. Yeah. Well, I would say my last words would be, mindset is so important. It's so important. Please just challenge yourself. This is a new year, and that's why I kind of brought him on at the beginning of the year, because we are concentrating this year on mindsets, and we want to start you off right with people that help you kind of push yourself to get out of that regular comfort zone and binge watching, as we discussed today. Binge watching. It's good to have a downtime. It is. Everybody needs that time to just don't think about nothing. But don't make it a habit. Don't make it your regular. It's not supposed to be irregular. So I would definitely say that. And so until next time here in Let's Talk, next time bring a friend. Until we meet again, God bless and good night. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
No problem.